on an iPad or an iPhone, it doesn't really matter. It'll be recorded. So
Okay. But I mean, if I were initiating it, then, that's what I'm talking about. Because I essentially, like, if I had 5 minutes time, I could do a quick hangout, depending on where I am. And that's how I was kind of thinking. So then that way I don't have to wait until, like, I'm in the office or at home or something like that.
I don't know. At the moment, I'm not sure that you can record Hangouts on air. You can do Hangouts, but I'm not sure it'll record them with the iPad being the initiator. But what you could do is, there's probably a way around it. I'm not sure exactly what, but let me think about it. But yeah, one way would be to just record the. You could record. Just trying to think. Well, you could record video clips, just short video clips, with your phone, and then you could do a hangout, and you say, "Hey, guys, this is just a few ideas that I've been talking about," and you could actually have videos that you recorded playing in a hangout when you got time to do them. It's not brilliant because the whole point of doing lots and lots of short hangouts is the fact that each time you do one, you're creating a massive SEO impact, as you're probably seeing from the results. So, but you know what? You can log into anyone's computer anywhere. You could probably do them from an internet cafe, because all you need is your Gmail account, right? You don't need a particular computer.
No. But a lot of times when I'm, in the field, so to speak, I'm in, I'm in an office, but it's like a meeting setting, and so I have access to a conference room, but there's not necessarily a computer there that I have access to. So that's why I always just travel with my information. But the idea was to do a couple of hangouts whenever I have 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just to really accelerate the process.
I know you can do them. Yeah. I know you can do them, but I'm not sure about the recording, the Hangouts on air aspect, which is kind of the most important thing. You don't want to be doing them unless someone's recording them. So you could have people on standby to just kind of like patch you in wherever you are, and then record it for you. You just send them a text, say, "Hey, I've got 5 minutes. Can someone patch me in?" Like someone who's at work. They don't have to be really on the call or anything like that. They can just patch you in, and they'll record it, and they'll be there. Anyway, that's that. I don't know about that. That might be a bit tricky. About you? How about you, Mark? Got any technical questions or anything like that?
Yeah, there is one point actually related to the Hangouts as well. So we're doing these recordings obviously to help with SEO, basically, we can put it that way, to get page rankings. Yep. But for doing those, I'm sorry, because I'm just like Bryan, I'm not really familiar with the Hangout situation. So it's not necessary to actually have someone else on the call to do one, is it?
Exactly. 90% of the ones I just do them on my own, and a lot of them I do just like this. I will just turn my camera off, and my face will just talk, or I'll do them as a screen capture where I'm showing some aspects. So, for example, this is the classic one that I do all the time. I'll show you this quickly. I mean, I know you've seen these, but let's say I will go to a program of mine, and I'll just talk over a PDF. So what will be recorded will be me just talking over this, and I'll say, okay, this is pretty cool. For example, one of the things that I'd recommend you do is you do some Hangouts where you're talking about your wheels, and you're just doing some overviews, and you can talk about the domains, or you can talk about and it's nice to have that as the graphic, because actually your face, as nice as it is, my face, as handsome as we all are as a group, it's probably better that the thumbnail that is chosen is like your individual wheels with some nice graphics, because that will give the branding. If someone starts saying, say your face a bit, they might get it, but if they start saying, well, there's 10 videos on a page, and like 6 of them have kind of got this diagram, it gives it a kind of a real power to it. So I'll end that screen share. So yes, you're completely right. Effectively, it's a brilliant way to do podcasts.
Yeah.
Because you can just record audio. Google takes care of everything for you. They archive it, they record it, they make it available for everybody. And if you just want to be in a situation where, you know, you don't have to worry about your hair, or you haven't got good lights or anything like that, then you can just knock out a quick audio one. You just switch the camera off and record it, and it will go with whatever your profile photo is. So Mark, you know, that's a nice photo there. Bryan, another, yeah, good photos. You definitely want to have a good profile photo, because that will then be the thumbnail. But of course, you can later edit them if you want to and choose your own thumbnail. You could do that as well. So if you want to talk about your wheels, that's fantastic. That's great. If you just want to talk, just quickly do one and don't want to have to do screen share or anything like that, yeah, just do a couple of minutes. The average length of time spent watching a video on the internet is 2 minutes 37 seconds. So I know there's a lot of like 40-second cat videos that people watch, but you know, to balance it up. But really, we're talking about lots and lots of small little nuggets, bite-sized things, just an idea, just one little thing. And we don't have to worry about repeating ourselves in all these Hangouts, because the chance of someone going through and watching all 40 of your videos that you record over the next, you know, couple of months is vanishingly small. What you can do is you can be kind of, I'm not saying deliberately repeat yourself all the time, but you can just think of saying the same thing but in a slightly different way. It doesn't have to, it's not like a course where your courses have to, you know, step 1, step 2, step 3, you know, focus point 1, focus 2, and all that sort of stuff has to be totally consistent and has to make sense and it has to be coherent. These are just lots and lots and lots of different ways in to the funnel. So it's marketing, but it's marketing through actually teaching a little bit about what your course is and what your ideas are. And Bryan, I know you could talk for like 6 months without breathing, and Mark, it sounds like you've got a lot of experience as well. So it's very important that you try and keep those as short as possible. If you deliberately start thinking, well, I'm only going to say this one thing, and then say, and that's it. Another tip is it's good to have like NLP people might call this an anchor. It's just a routine for how you will end it up. So you, thanks very much, see you in the next one. And then when you're thinking, oh, how am I going to wrap this up? Oh, bye. So yeah, I'll see you. I'll do another one. You know, it's like just have a way of saying, yeah, that's it. It's as simple as that. See you in the next one, or hope you enjoyed it, hope you got something out of it, and see you in another one. Something like that. Work out whatever's really comfortable for you guys.
Yeah, I was thinking kind of like, you know, a thought of the day or something like that, because the idea behind reasonable leadership, you know, I'm quite keen on words, and the word reasonable itself means sound judgment or having sound judgment.
Yeah.
And so the idea is for reasonable leadership is the thinking and acting reasonably will work in leadership in, you know, all the time and everywhere. So we can have like a I think, you know, I think, and have a thought for the day or thought for that moment kind of a thing, and make that a series. That's kind of how I was thinking about.
Anything you can make into a series is quite good. I have this concept. Actually, we're going to do it in any of your ideas that you want to put up. I've got this concept of coffee learning, and I'm meeting with guys tomorrow, and they're building out a site for us, well, for all of us, which is basically coffee-learning.com, and it's just a place where you can go, and in the time it takes to drink a cup of coffee and the time it takes to sort of watch something, you can pay like a couple of dollars and learn just one nice nugget of something. But the idea is that you've got that sort of nugget approach, that bite-sized learning. It's a great idea. But Peter Diamandis does something, actually. I saw recently he's done something called espresso shots, which is just that same sort of thing. Anything you can give a kind of branding to, you know, thought for the day, or crazy talk from Bryan, #1, #2, #3. You know, Mark's magic moments or something like that. You know, the real Mr. Rogers, or the new Mr. Rogers is alive and well, or something. You know, so. Yeah. The point is, give it some sort of branding. That what you want, right, is you want the search term to be the real value that you're going to give people, but then you want to have some sort of stickability in the title. So, for example, in my course that I'm doing, my search term is, the secret of making the law of attraction work for you, or making the law of attraction, or how to make this. It's basically those sorts of things. So that's the subtitle. But the actual program is called Reasonable Force, because that's kind of got a bit of stickiness to it, hasn't it? It's sort of like we kind of know it's already triggering a lot of hooks in the brain. The psychology of the brain is, oh yeah, it's an expression. That's why when my one on thinking, how to think, algorithms for pure thinking is called Reasonable Doubt, because you've already got that stickiness, you see. So if you can come up with like an idea, instead of just doing these, yeah, it's reasonable leadership, whatever the thing is, nuggets from Bryan. Bryan's take on sales, Bryan's take on motivation, Bryan on or whatever. The same sort of thing. Whatever sort of system or brand type thing you can add to it. A, it just makes it easier for you, and B, you're giving an extra chance for people to see that there is deep thinking behind. There's a method to your madness rather than just lots of random stuff, and I think that's good. I tell you what would be nice, just quickly, because what you've got to do, you've got to get your title up and running, you've got to get your search terms going, get your Hangouts up and running. We'll schedule a session where we do a few Hangouts where I just ask you about your program, and we'll probably, in an hour that we'll try and nut out 4 or 5 short ones, which will be quite good, where I get into your background and that sort of stuff. And the other thing is to send me what your wheel structure will be, so that if you do you guys have the ability to knock it into a nice diagram? It doesn't need to be in that shape yet, but have you got some software to do that, or is that something you'd like me to do?
I'm sure I can
definitely not the design. I'm not the design person, so have at it.
Well, I've got a couple of things that I can do. I've got I've just got some templates, and I just change the content. That's all, depending on what the domains are. So it's like piece of cake, and we can do that in a live call. We can actually say, okay, how does this look, Bryan? What do you think? Mark, you're okay. You're pretty good with the tech side of stuff, are you?
Well, I think I can manage doing that, and you can have a look and see what you think, and
yeah.
If it's not up to standard, then I'll go with your template. But yeah, I'll have a go at it first of all.
What you want to do is you want to create something that just does look quite nice. It's got to have a kind of a factor to it. So it's it can be even as simple as Peter's one. I don't know whether you saw Peter, the EFT guy, who we did last. I thought his one looked really quite nice, but it's really simple. And then Andrea's one, the musician one, she's gone for a lot more colour, and that again. You've got to do something that works for you and that you feel really proud standing next to when you're on a stage, in the world, wherever you are, and all that sort of stuff. So it has to feel right for you. But what the most important thing is not necessarily the diagram just yet, but to send me the actual. You've already sent me yours, actually. So Bryan, Mike, you've sent me yours. So just send that through. So we've got the titles. Because one of the things we're going to do as we roll out the Hangouts is for each of these chapter headings actually should have an element of what people will be searching for as well. Because I don't know whether you saw one of the videos where I explained that one of my courses ranks really high for the Science of Getting Rich Made Simple, even though it's got nothing to do with it, because as a bonus in that course on Udemy, I called one of the lectures The Science of Getting Rich Made Simple, and I've got like 4,500 people on that course. And so that's really good and that's on page 2 of full Google search, just because 4,500 people have kind of registered for that course. So we're doing all this YouTube stuff, which is great, Google Hangout stuff, but also we've got the Udemy side of things as well, so for that consistency. And Bryan, did you notice you've gone up to 6,500 students on Udemy? Did you notice that?
Yes, I'm quite happy with that, actually.
So what'll happen? I don't know whether you've seen that part of it, Mark, but what happens is when you register as an instructor on Udemy, I invite you to be a joint instructor for a couple of my existing courses, so that when people are looking at your new course, They don't see, and Mark's got 4 students, you know. Actually see that you've got like several thousand, 6,000 students. In return for that, I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of a contribution to both of those courses, because otherwise it will just look silly. But it'll just be in the VIP course that I've created for the for my inner circle, reasonability inner circle. We're going to put your stories up, your whole Team 10K thing, as a case study. So from time to time, you're just going to go up there and put a little video and just maybe write a little bit of text. And that'll be really good anyway for people seeing in the future, for seeing the path that we've been forging. But also it'll be great for, you know, the legitimacy of you being a co-author and stuff. Otherwise, people are going to look, you know, they might suspect that we're just doing it to game the system or something like that.
Yeah, the vanity metrics.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, but let's be honest. It takes a long time to go from 0 to 1,000 students. It really does. So, and the part of the reason for that is that once you've got to 100 and you've used up all your family and friends, it's then just like, you know, okay, who is this guy? So I happen to be lucky because I was, being an early adopter, I got on there when there was 15 Udemy courses on the homepage, or 10, and like Mark Zuckerberg's face was right up and right next to me, and Marissa Mayer and Warren Buffett, and they're all right there with me. I'm just like right there. I was like the 5th top most popular course in Udemy in the early days, and so as a result, I got an unfair, not advantage, but you know, I was carried on with the sort of enthusiasm of people. Obviously, my stuff's good. I'm sure it's good. But the point is, you know, I just happened to be one of the people that got noticed early on. And so, once you get momentum, you know, my courses, I'm something like in the personal development. I think, I mean, I don't know how much more, but I think Warren Buffett's got a course, or there's a course about Warren Buffett in there now. But basically, it used to be, it was like 20,000 students more than the next most popular course, and my course is growing faster. So it's a kind of an unfair advantage. If somebody gets really big quite quickly, they just get so much momentum. So it's difficult. So let's leverage that. If you are using the same 13x4 system, well then, you know, you deserve to get a leg up and get 4,000 or 5,000 students under your belt right away. And then that looks way better, doesn't it, when you're an author and you're an instructor and you've got 3 or 4 courses and you've got 5,000 students. It just looks better, you know. Yeah. Let's not try to kid anyone about this. If I'm going and if I'm browsing a course and I see that there's only 50 people, you know, on this course, and then I check and this instructor's only got like 200 people in total, I'm going to be a little bit hesitant.
Yeah. Well, too, also, what you're doing is uniquely different with a radical collaboration. So that's, you know, a bit different than just having vanity metrics like, you know, Facebook and have 2 million friends where there's no energetic exchange. So it's uniquely different anyway.
Yes, that's right. I will be expecting you to make some contribution for that, of course, just in terms of content. You know, one of them being, you know, your take on things. So, tell you what would be really nice, just to wrap up, Brian. Do you want to just tell Mark your perspective a little bit, and you know the story so far, because you've been involved in architecting a lot of this sort of thinking in a way, haven't you? So, do you want to just give Mark a little bit of your thinking on all this sort of stuff? I mean, and I say a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you know, as I said in the email that we exchanged earlier, the idea really is that I see is, you know, in the impact investing space, they're literally interested in social consciousness and moving, advancing humanity forward. And so this is an idea of really bringing collaboratively people together to really do that in a aggregated way, where you can aggregate content, you can aggregate ideas, and create a deliberate space for doing that, because that does not exist.
Right.
Everyone has their own little unique kind of work, but I haven't seen many spaces where people actually come together from nations all across the world to deliberately create something that truly advances humanity, and that's really what this is about, and that's where the idea for Greater Life for All really came from. Is that human potential aspect of advancing humanity.
There you go. And the Greater Life for All really is kind of a code of operation. It's almost like a it's not hidden, it's very open, but it's something like those fairground sticks of rock that you can get, where the writing goes all the way through. It's kind of like the code that's inside it, in everything that we're doing, you see. And that's why I'm really excited about, you know, having you guys doing the sorts of things. Yeah, if we could get people to be better leaders, and we could get people to be more confident, you know, that covers a lot of people, doesn't it? Really, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Greater Life for All essentially is the principle, because if you let your thoughts be ruled by principle and then live up to those thoughts, so if you think about it, then the reasonability becomes the practice, but the principle is Greater Life for All.
Yeah.
And so that's what you're living up to in your thoughts, and so the expression and all that you do should help you to rise to that level. That principle of creating Greater Life for All, and you can look at that essentially through the process of continuous value generation, and that's why it becomes regenerative. But you have to be thinking at that level. So that's the vision that I have.
And it's interesting because you are actually in the space where people think you've got two heads when you start talking about this. Yeah. Okay. So how is your business going to bring Greater Life for All? And they go, who's this guy? How are you? Are you thinking that in what we're doing now, we'll be able to actually demonstrate kind of a model for radical collaboration and all these things, and then you'll be able to point to what we're doing and tell people that it is possible?
Absolutely, because then, you know, when people are saying, and I ask investors that all the time, I ask the investors here in Toronto this, you know, they're starting a startup, and I come and do my consulting and do the science of human judgment and decision making, and I take them beyond ROI. So I take them beyond return on investment, and we're looking at other returns and ask that question, the principle, Greater Life for All, and they look, you know, as if I'm strange. But the idea won't be so strange anymore if they see these projects out there all across the world. And so now they're asking, what is Greater Life for All? I can say, check out reasonable leadership. I can say, check out reasonable confidence. I can say, you know, check out the reasonable entrepreneur program. And so they'll know what Greater Life is for all. It won't be an argument.
Or that's it'll be in the language. When it's in the vernacular, then of course it's one. I read that Dale Carnegie once said that it's harder to put a phrase into the English language than to make $1 million, and that's back when $1 million was still, you know, it's the 20s and the 30s when it was quite a lot of money. And I kind of think that it is once you get the way of thinking so embedded that the language is there to encapsulating it, then you know when people start talking your language, you know that you've got through to them basically. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
And Mark, why don't you bring us a little bit up to speed with your thinking? I mean, we've had a couple of chats about this, but you know, in general, sort of where you're going and your neuroscience background and the future and all that stuff.
Sure. Well, yeah. Well, my background is, as you say, in neuroscience. I have a PhD in the neurosciences, and my thesis was on depression, which isn't the most upbeat of subjects, but I was looking at parallels between depression and Parkinson's disease, but I won't get all too technical at the moment, but that was the background there. Worked in Australia and Japan, had a great time in Japan. I'd love to go back there again. And as far as this new direction goes, I'm still pretty much just starting out, I'd say. I've been thinking about it for around about a year, I guess. So I'm still really in the stage of using the tools of neuroscience, if I could put it that way, and looking at how they can be applied, maybe in ways that they haven't been applied before, in ways that haven't been thought about before, to people's problems or helping people out in life. So I guess that's where I am on that sort of transition stage between, you know, academic researcher and moving out beyond that.
What I particularly liked, I'll say, Bryan, what I particularly like about Mark's approach is he's gone for a real a mental and physical duality, and he's talked about confidence. A lot of people would talk about confidence, I guess, from just the mental perspective and the attitude and all that sort of stuff. But he's got half of his program is all about the physicality of confidence, and it's really interesting because, of course, the way that the feedback loop between the body's physicality and then the brain patterns that emerge from that, and then the continuous, the old thing is, you force yourself to smile, of course, and then you actually feel much more like smiling. And I do that with kids all the time, and we do that with our kids, don't we? When they're really they're really annoyed and stuff like that, and you smile at them and really smile, and it's very difficult for them not to. As soon as they started smiling, it's so difficult for them to maintain that brain pattern of that, being in a mood. So I'm really interested in how that's going to develop, Mark, actually, because I think you're really onto something there. I think that'll be really, really helpful to people.
I think that's going to be quite huge. In fact, I did some training with Dr. Jim Lear has an organization in Orlando called the Human Performance Institute. In fact, Johnson & Johnson actually bought his company out, but he teaches professional athletes how to manage energy. And then he went into corporate America teaching executives how to manage energy. So he started something called a corporate athlete program.
All right.
And he looks at the physical. There's 4 domains: physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual energy. And what most people don't know, as I'm sure Mark knows, is for every thought you have, something physiologically happens to your body. You have a somatic nervous system, and so something physiologically happens to the body. So when you talk about the power of, I've always been into the martial arts, so talk about mindfulness and paying attention to your body. Most people don't understand that, but yet they're going into, corporate America or, to organizations all the time, and they're under the impact of stress, but they just don't realize that they can take it, those cues and do something with it. And so this confidence course is quite huge when you talk about the idea of managing energy.
Yeah, exciting times. Okay, guys, so any other technical things? Can we choose some times now when you're both going to be able to do an individual one-to-one? Have you got calendars in front of you?
I do. Wednesday and or Thursday is good for me.
And what sort of time? What sort of times are good for you? Where are you now? Toronto. What is that? Is that
They're Eastern.
Oh, EST, are they?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that's why I say, what's a good time for you? Because I know sometimes you're late, sometimes you like to be early.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying. I'm kind of on fairly Eastern time at the moment. Actually, I've been going to bed sort of 3 or 4 in the morning at my time, because I'm not having to get up early at the moment, so it's quite convenient to do that, because then I can get Australia and New Zealand and the Far East in as well in that sort of 10 to 4 window, and it's quite nice. So I'm just looking. I've got one at 8 p.m. on Wednesday evening for. I've got a slot there, Brian, but I could do 7 p.m. or a 9 p.m. on Wednesday evening.
No, Wednesday at 8 is fine.
Oh, I've got something at when.
Oh, you have something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've got something booked in on Wednesday at 8 p.m. EST, so I can do like a 7 or a 9 on Wednesday, or I can do another night.
Let's see. Let's do Wednesday at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock? That's not too late for you.
Well, that's usually when I check out, because I'm an early riser. But I'll stay awake.
Yeah. That's fine. The other time to do it would be getting up early and doing it before work, of course.
Yes.
But
so I can always take a little nap or something like that.
Let's go for that. Let's go for that.
Wednesday at 9.
Wednesday.
That would be the first one.
That's sorry, I've just put it in 9 at my time. That's 9 your time, isn't it? So for me, it's Thursday at 2 in the morning. Yeah, that's the first one we'll do, and we'll probably need a couple, but we'll see how that goes. Mark, what about you?
Yeah, I'm okay for basically around about the same time any day, or tomorrow or Thursday I could be an hour earlier if that helps you.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Oh, you know, sorry, I've just messed up a little bit. I've put those into the wrong week. Brian.
Are you not trying to show up for my appointment?
No, you're good. You're good. I've just double booked my 8 p.m. one, but I'll sort it out. It's no problem. Okay, so Mark, I reckon I can do Tuesday evening for me, Wednesday morning for you at 12 my time, 9 your time. Yeah.
Okay, so that's
This time, but basically in 2 days. No,
yeah.
what day are you? You Tuesday.
So yeah, it's Tuesday morning for me, so it's 24 hours away basically.
Yes, it's tomorrow morning, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, for me. Yeah.
Sort of. It's so confusing. It's so confusing when you're talking about today and tomorrow. You need to actually say stick to one time zone and get there. So your time, I reckon it will be 9 a.m. Wednesday the 13th. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good. Okay. Fantastic. So it's actually the same day for me because it's actually midnight for me.
Yes. Well, hopefully you get some sleep between now and then.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. I've managed. I've organised it, so I'm kind of. I've got time at the moment, which is really nice to get all these programs up and running.
We're looking okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's just. I'm not finding it difficult to fit in because it's just so much fun. You see. Right, and then we'll see how we go on that one, Mark and Brian, with the first one. We'll probably see if we can schedule something in again later on. You obviously need a bit more time at the beginning because there's technical things, so you don't always get as much done as you'd like to the first couple of sessions. But yeah, it's exciting times. Any final questions? I think we've covered quite a lot today. So
Yeah, I think I'm good to go. I'm ready to get this rolling.
send me your 13 by 4. Both of you, if you send that to me, that'd be great. Ideally, if you can do it before, but it doesn't really matter if you don't, as long as you send it to me.
Yes, yeah.
In time for us to actually. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Nice one. Have a great day. Great evening.
Nice to meet you, Brian.
Yeah. Thanks for your time, both of you. Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you too, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.